My personal experience of PDHPE is a positive one, but however has some negative aspects to it. I enjoyed getting active when I was young, and I especially loved playing tennis and netball, and I was very lucky to be able to participate in Saturday morning tennis. I wouldn't really say that I was physically gifted, and was quite uncoordinated when it came to running and throwing, but I still gave it a red hot go. I didn't grow up with many influences to play weekend sport as my family were not very active themselves, but I would say that my number one influence was my primary school best friend. Her whole family loved to play sport and get active, and I wanted to be a part of that too. It didn't last too long, so I instead was a support network for her. I found it very difficult to motivate myself with getting physical, but I had no problem with motivating my friends. This was me at lunch, watching all of my friends play sport. I was never sporty growing up, but I was more than happy to stand on the sidelines and kind of be their motivation, you could call it. During my primary schooling years, I had one sports teacher who was quite hard on me. Instead of motivating me to keep going if I was struggling, I was either ignored or picked on. I dreaded sport, and I only really enjoyed it when we either had swimming lessons or group sport games like softball and bombardment. It was because I was a part of a team that I enjoyed it more. When I was in high school, my experience had changed. I enjoyed sport even more because it wasn't just about physical activity, but also involved theory about health. I really found health education interesting as I was learning why PE was important. The fact that I had encouraging PE teachers helped as well. My Year 7 teacher was amazing as he was encouraging and wasn't serious all the time. He was able to have fun in his subject. One thing this teacher did was not single out the kids who were sporty or kids who were not. Instead, he treated every student as if they were the best sportsman/sportswoman in the world. As I moved up through high school, my opinions about sport changed. I always participated, but I didn't have a red-hot go, as many of my PE teachers would say. I was more interested in my academic subjects like English, art, and history. I had the opportunity to go overseas to walk the Kokoda Trail for school, and I then worked very hard to become physically ready. It was challenging, but worth it. That was 4 years ago now, and I wish I had carried on more with physical training when I got back from overseas. I will take my experiences and try and motivate every student in my class. If a student says, "I can't," well, I will say, "Yes, you can," and use my skills and motivation to help. I will also make PE fun and not a chore or something that has to be done. I want students to actually want to come to my class with a smile and not a frown. My ideal PDHPE teacher should be someone who looks after themselves. A student should walk into their PDHPE class and see a teacher who physically looks fit. They should not walk into a classroom and see an obese man or woman who clearly does not take care of themselves. This subject should mirror the importance of health and physical development, and not show problems such as obesity. I always liked female sports teachers as I believe they were a lot stronger. Most female PDHPE teachers that I had could maintain their class a lot better than the males. I believe the PDHPE teacher should always have a smile on their face. They should be empathetic to students with special needs and also be able to not single anyone out. Teachers who are willing to join in with kids, especially those in a K-6 setting, will find that kids having more enjoyment as they tend to follow the adult's lead. PDHPE teachers need to know that this subject isn't just about physical education, and that it's to be seriously established as a new kind of literacy. This statement is backed up by a study done by the University of Tasmania, which looks at pre-service PE teachers to rethink about physical education in schools and to highlight its significance. Pre-service teachers have the important task of initiating and communicating the importance of change. According to the study, many pre-service teachers bring their own personal experiences to PDHPE to their classrooms. This is something that we need to change as the curriculum is changing and the PE classes will not be the same as they were 5 to 10 years ago. Teachers need to be prepared to break out of that just physical training mindset and to prove to their students and others that PDHPE is an academic subject. PDHPE teachers should communicate to students to let them know that this type of activity is helping improve motor function, cognitive skills like throwing and catching. PDHPE teachers should be walking into their classrooms to be prepared to remove the stigma attached to the subject and to help those students, like I was once before, to be motivated to be active, and that being active is a good thing. It is important for children to have their daily minimum of 30 minutes of physical activity. Children are so full of energy, and so they're bound to fidget in class and begin to be bored. In the Australian Health and Physical Education curriculum, it lists how physical activity can be used in key learning areas. For example, the curriculum states that English and physical education work together as it helps students understand codes and conventions. These skills help analyse a range of health and physical texts. Another area benefiting from physical education is the performing arts. Dance, according to the curriculum, has been taught for many years in PDHPE. In a K-6 context, using dance emphasises the development in movement skills, concepts and patterns related to dance, which in the long term promotes a lifelong physical activity. I personally believe that physical activity should be in all KLAs, especially in a primary school setting. It can reduce behavioural problems for some kids, and I have seen firsthand what sitting down for long periods of time does to young kids. I know when I'm standing in front of my class, I won't make kids do copious amounts of worksheets and instead get them active and help them do work. Why not incorporate a hop, skip, jump where children learn their times tables? How about physically acting out a book they just read or incorporate a dance? If children learn from a young age how important it is to get active, they will benefit with these skills when they grow older. Kids have the right to be active, and as a PDHPE teacher, I promise that I'm going to fulfill these needs of the children and allow them to be active.